on Hillary, new Hillary or old Hillary?
Oh,
Hey, listen, if we doing that, like Bel Air, Hillary, I'm cool. Coco Jones,
yeah.
bye. I'm cool with
I
Coco
did
Jones.
not
Bye.
realize that was Coco for the
Yeah,
longest. Yeah,
Coco Jones, bye.
I did not
I'm with it.
realize that's. I ain't even put
Mm-hmm.
two and two together.
I like dark skinned Whitney. I mean, what's her name?
Dark skin
Dark
Hillary.
skinned Hillary. Yeah.
Yeah, new Hillary's alright with me.
But shoot, think
Mm-hmm.
it's about that time again, fellas. I want to say welcome back to the To Be Fair show. I
Mm-hmm.
am your host Johnny P,
Over here, real.
It's Q.
and we back
Yes, sir.
Bye.
season 2 with this 18.
We
Uh,
all in.
we got a couple of them. Rail finally got his question in this week, so I think
Mm-hmm.
we'll probably kick it off with that.
That's what we
Uh-oh.
want. From a nigga that ain't got a question in at all.
No, I got a question. Then.
Yeah, it ain't in here
I got a
though.
question. It's
But it
in
ain't
there.
in here
Well,
though.
just
he
wait.
told us that. Well, he told me he gonna do the throwback.
Just
The
wait.
one from
Yeah,
last.
it's in there.
Oh,
My
okay.
question
It's
in
in
there.
there. It's in there.
So we got how important do you think it is for a woman?
Ooh. Hold on. And see, this is why I love the fact that First Lady Taj pulls up when she pulls up.
Mm.
Because this question literally is something that she can assist us with.
Oh, he done
Okay.
changed his question.
No. That's it right there. The
Oh,
one
this-
he's
oh,
yeah,
oh,
that's the
this
one
second
he's
Let me
going with.
finish it. Let me finish
All
it.
right.
Go
Let me
ahead.
let
What's
me
the
let me
question?
finish it. And how important do you think it is for a woman to manage a man's ego?
Mm,
So the woman
my.
managing a man's ego. That's a good one.
Okay.
Q, we got why sh- why we should talk more about what we want and where to find the people that exhibit these characteristics. So I think that sounds like a dating. We gonna dive into some dating advice, and I got the importance of effective communication and
Lord.
listening
C word.
for understanding. And I want to unpack it, see if that's something that we do as a
Mm-hmm.
culture, community, society. So
Let's see.
um, I want to. I guess we'll.
Just wanted to make sure. Are you impacting it or unpacking it? Oh, okay. All right. Just one. I ain't know. I ain't know what you. I ain't know.
I might do both, bro.
Okay.
I might do both. Who knows?
Anything is possible. I get it.
Anything is possible. I might
Okay.
do both, but
Mm-hmm.
you ain't have to do that. But
Listen, they heard it, so it's better to make fun of it. What you
but
got? What you got, Real?
we gonna alley it.
Yeah, so it was crazy because so I came to this question going back and listening to what he called himself the Godfather, and which rest in peace to Kevin Samuels. And I went back and kind of like it's been a minute since I had went and listened to any of his videos and everything. And in the video, he was talking about how important it was for a woman to manage a man's ego. And when I think of manage, I think of like helping him understand that he is he is and can be who he wants to be, while also allowing him to know that he has work to do as well. And the idea of being able to influence him to make the changes to make him a better man and being productive at doing so. So as I was sitting there thinking about it, I was like, okay, so we understand that as men we have egos, and I would say that I would hope to at some point understand that to differentiate ego and pride. So those two things, to me, in the way I think of them, are kind of
Yeah, I was gonna say
very
we may
similar.
have to break down the
And so,
definitions of those two, but
but in this, I think that it's very important because I know that as men, um, and there's a level of like there's a level of within a relationship in my belief system. I think that as a man with pride, have or ego or managing my ego would also allow me to, like I said, it allows me to be great. It helps me in managing a man's ego. It does help him to be great, in my opinion.
yeah, but
If she's managing his ego efficiently and productively,
we're not
because you can shoot him all the way down.
right.
You can shoot him all the way down, or you can see the benefits in his ideals and his leadership and everything, and assist him with becoming his best self as far as the ego. Because I think that like we can sit here and we all have egos, And we, as men, we also, a lot of the times, as I'm talking to the men around me, they feel unappreciated. So it seems as though the women around them are not managing their egos effectively. And it pretty much makes them go into different, like, depressive modes and different, you know what I mean? If you,
Let me ask you
go
something.
ahead.
Let me ask you something in there, cause when I hear the word like management,
Mm-hmm.
like that implies like when I think of like my workspace and when I've been
Mm-hmm.
managed, coach, whatever,
Yep.
it implies a certain level of leadership,
Mm-hmm.
and and I think where like it is important, and a woman needs to have that ability, but I don't think all women necessarily have the ability to necessarily properly,
For sure.
manage every man's ego. Because I mean, like I say, it's not like our grandparents, like our grandmothers with our grandfathers. They could
Mm-hmm.
talk to them differently than you probably have to. Then my girl gonna have to talk to me, or your girl gonna have to talk to me. It's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be a level of more emotional communication that you're gonna have as far as being able to speak to that man differently.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of time when it comes to managing, like we got a new manager at my job. Some lady, but she coming in hot.
Yeah.
She trying to come in and manage
Mm.
instead of like sitting back. Hey, won't you take a week,
Just
see how all
exactly.
of us do our job, and then figure out how you can help manage us
It,
instead of like going in first. I'm a manager. I got this position.
I get some real rubbing off on you. Real what's
I'm
it?
gonna
Was
tell.
that you? Never mind. All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go.
Well, no, I mean a bad manager, a bad manager. It ain't got nothing to
I
do
feel
with
like we got into this
men and women.
manager conversation.
Well, it
I
has,
can't remember
yeah, but it
who
wasn't
gave
in
that.
this. It
but this
wasn't.
has
It was
nothing
me,
to
but it
do.
wasn't in the same.
But
This
this
is a
has
completely
nothing
Oh
to
no,
do
different.
no,
with.
I'm saying like the technique of analyzing like a good manager. It seemed like
Mm-hmm.
you can
Well, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
correct
yeah,
me if
yeah.
I'm
That
wrong.
was
It,
that
it,
was
it
off
he
of
seemed
me.
like
talked about it.
like
Yeah.
the way that you had put it was like come in and see what we do for a little bit before
Yeah,
like you just come in trying to change shit.
yeah. You
Um
must first observe the strengths and weaknesses. So it
yeah.
takes a while for you to and I honestly I think that this is one of the very important things when it comes down to like successful long term relationships because you can be with a guy that has all of, and I know they say like stop being with somebody for what they can potentially be. At the end of the day, I don't believe in that. I believe that at the end of the day, we all will kind of deal with each other based on potential.
But when
It
it
is
comes,
based on potential. It is also based on what you're presenting right now. But then it's also long term. I can see this going to this place. So it's still based on potential, regardless. And I think that a woman can actually. They say behind every great man is a great woman.
but it has to be a great woman,
I mean,
and not just
of
not the
course,
average woman, not just
of
every woman,
course.
but it's a great woman.
At the same time, we talk a lot about vetting. We talk a lot about vetting. So I
Yeah.
would assume that with all of the education of the viewers have gotten from the vetting process and how we've went through and you know what I mean, picked through the idea of vetting. So we would assume that like at this point we should be able to understand a good bit of the vetting piece.
Yeah, understand
So
the
so, and this would be something that I feel like is very important as well. In the vetting process, you should be able to understand, see where this is. It's one of these things that is going to be like a long term. It appreciates, is what I'm saying. Like understanding how to manage your man's ego, that shit appreciates over time. So that means that it will provide fruit. You know what I mean throughout and the fruit on the back end. So and so I really wanted to see if well actually do either one of y'all before I kick the baton and see what she thinks about it.
Now let me finish. Let me. I want to go back because
Go ahead.
like
Yeah, my bad.
but cause like when my criticism on my manager isn't because she's a woman. It's just just
Yeah.
coming in hot as a manager. It could be a man, anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But when you talking
And
about
she was a woman.
no, it's just
I'm
so
fucking
it
with
just so happens that she's a woman. That's just the icing on the cake. But
So it does matter. But go ahead.
what I was saying though is whatever. what I
But go
was
ahead, get to it.
what I was saying was that like in order to like and I take this with like I've had managers that were able to like kind of coach me hard.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason they were able to coach me hard was because like on the back end
They praise you hard.
love me hard,
Mm-hmm.
and
That's
it's
exactly
so
what I'm talking about.
and a lot of, like when you coming in when you talking about like that first week and stuff, you got to build rapport.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of time like when you're in a relationship, you might see potential, you might see a weakness, but you might not be able to be in a spot. Let me wait. let me wait a couple more months, and then if I see that again, then I can correct it. Once I've built up this trust and this level of communication and this bond, and then once we have that, then maybe let me, see how I can approach. Like I said, everybody's different. Some people can be coached hard, some people can't be coached hard. Some people need to be coached hard. Some people need more, grace and empathy. So when it comes to managing a man's ego, it's and I think it's something that we don't necessarily talk about, but like sometimes it becomes a lack of emotional intelligence in women too, to be able to know to give, what that man needs at certain times. 'Cause a lot of times, and maybe not lack of emotional intelligence, but maybe it's they're needing in a certain way too, and they can't necessarily see past what they necessarily need
Mm.
too. But I think when you talking about managing though, it's a
It's
certain
selfless.
level of service, but its character, selflessness,
Mm-hmm.
and its ability to have like, that empathy and perspective to see. I might not agree with this, but let me see how my partner thinks about it, and then let me act in accordance to how he thinks, not necessarily what I think. And vice versa. So, but I think just when you talk about managing an ego, that's are some of the characteristics that you need to look for in somebody. Somebody that's able to communicate, able to um, have that empathy with you, or understanding to like I understand where you're coming from. I understand where you've been. And then if we had that understanding, then you can, hey, motherfucker, you fucking up. But if some random motherfucker come up to the street and tell me I'm fucking up, the stubbornness in me make me want to continue to fuck up just to prove to you that you don't know what the fuck you talking about. So a lot of times you gotta know how to talk to your partner
And
whoever you're
and the thing
managing.
and the thing that it goes into it for me is that like if you say that you want a leader, if he is a leader, then that's going to be a way to manage because as a leader you're going to be very much more opinionated. You stand strong and you know what I mean how you believe in what you feel. And so to men, women, and I think that like
But even leaders
great
have
like
bosses and coaches too,
yeah,
though.
but I agree and honestly I think that a good woman is your like you said we talking about her managing. So at the end of the day, she really plays one of the greatest positions in whether things go up or go down. She actually plays, and that's why like these intangibles are the things that I think that we need to get back to valuing. These intangibles for like the greatness of how women are, like they have some greatness that doesn't involve anything that has to do with like you know what I mean what we're boasting about their position in over earning men and over educated being more educated men. There are some intangibles,
Nurturing. They do
some
that
nurturing
naturally.
things that are very, very valuable. And I like
Empathy.
I
They're
fucking love
naturally
those things,
empathetic. They're naturally more empathetic than men are. They
bro. It's
understand,
it's it's a beautiful thing. And
and
see, the
that's yeah.
thing is that like as men, and then people say, oh, you want somebody to be your mama and da da da. No, that's not it. It's about being in the position of like it. I don't know, bro. It's literally that nurturing that we need to bring that shit back. We have to, as men, we have to start vocalizing the
Well, let
value
me
in it
ask you
to
this:
make sure that this is
how do we bring
exceeding.
it back, and how do we put that on the
I,
forefront of like
I think that we should just
of
vocalize it more. I think that we should vocalize
we
those
should
things more
celebrate it more too,
and
not just
celebrate it
not
more.
just necessarily say,
With Mother's
hey,
Day around on
these
right
things
here.
you should we should actually like, because vocalizing is one thing, that's mouth, that's words.
Mm-hmm.
Celebrating it, that's actual action.
Oh yeah.
You can actually celebrate and give reverence to the certain characteristics of women, that we're looking toward. Like you go back to last week, sometimes we do get lost in the sauce chasing beautiful women. Beautiful women with bad character, and giving and praising them and putting all the clout on and putting those women on a pedestal when those aren't the best women for us. The best women for us may not be that 9, 10, but it's that whatever with like strong character,
Mm-hmm.
strong leadership ability. She got empathy. She's emotionally intelligent, mentally intelligent. That might be the best for her. Not just me, but I might have a kid with this woman.
Mm-hmm.
And like I want the best for my kid, and having a baby with this woman versus this woman, my kid is gonna be a better person and in a better, position. And that's the shit we probably need to start. And I don't know how we do that. Like, how do we celebrate the, how do we find these women and celebrate them when it's ass on the internet every time. You know, it's y'all just laughing because y'all seen some cheeks on the timeline. You know, I like. But how do we find those women and celebrate them when it's all these distractions? That's the question. That's the tough part, and that's where I don't know. I'm still trying to figure these
I
shit
don't
out.
think it's tough.
Yeah, I don't think it's tough either.
I don't think it's tough. Just turn that shit off. You literally can control what it is that you intake.
It's individually, but I'm talking about
Yeah,
culturally.
but I mean, as
Like-
individuals,
I think
it
that
takes-
my
Go ahead.
oh my bad.
Shoot, what do you think?
Well, if we was further in the conversation, I think that would have been a perfect segue for my topic for sure. But I guess all right. So re-ask the question, and then I want you to all right. So first, re-ask the question.
The question is, how important do you think it is for a woman to manage a man's ego?
Okay, and for a second, it seemed like y'all was going to a different space than how I interpreted it. So I do want you to define when you're saying manage a man's ego.
What do I mean?
Yeah.
So, okay, and this is like I said, I got this from Kevin Samuels, right? His video. So, what I kind of interpreted it as, I can't speak for him what he meant, but from what I was feeling when I thought of managing managing anyone's ego, is pretty much knowing how to push them, and how to push them, and then let them and let me be great, but then also provide the necessary correction.
Good.
And yeah, pretty much that. Just let me be great, and then but also pretty much being understanding that my confidence will push us in ways, but then also not allowing me to be overly confident. Just managing my ego, making sure that like you're putting these things into me to empower me, but not also to keep me human and humanizing myself throughout the walk. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think that to answer the question directly, do I think that it's important? Yes, I do think that it's important. I think that the ability to manage a woman's not a woman to manage a male's ego. I mean, I think it's important because I think that that's generally like a productive trait for relationships in general. Where I think it kind of ends up being a seesaw of each other, making sure that y'all balance each other's egos. And where speaking, I'll speak specifically like as we're speaking to women. Where like you want to be able to promote a person to be able to work on their weaknesses and what I mean, celebrate their strengths. And like the way that you're able to do that is also like really really important. And I think that like understanding what a person is insecure about and being able to kind of like you don't always want to tiptoe around that, but you got to understand that that is a point of weakness. And so like that's not where I'm gonna dig at. And then if I get upset, that might not be the space to really go. In which I think that become I think it's a healthy practice in general. There isn't like I don't think that you should manage a person's ego in a way where you're promoting fallacies.
For
And
sure,
like
absolutely.
you're like pushing them inside like
That's
unrealistic
not
spaces and
managing,
things like
that's-
that.
yeah,
That's bad management.
it's bad, man.
Right. Because I think that in a realistic scenario, like again, everybody comes in with their own sense of pride, and who they are, and like if we're not managing and at the same time humanizing, I think that it is going to be a nasty relationship anyway. And that's kind of one of those on both sides things where, again, like Shorty starts gaining some weight, and like you can be like you getting fat as fuck, or you could be like, hey babe, let's start working out together. Like even the way that you approach that scenario is a way of how you're managing the ego to still get the correct outcome.
Exactly.
And I think
This
that
is being
like
a
I said,
decent human though. Like that's
right,
not even
and,
like
and that's what I'm
just
saying. Like
quick.
I think like in general in relationships, and that even comes inside friendships as well. Like understanding how to properly communicate with each other, is like really really important because of again like if you want to be abrasive, cool, but if you actually want to effectively affect change, then you do have to understand how you need to speak to and talk to each individual person to get the correct elicit response.
And I say that one thing that goes with that is, I think there's something that we don't. I don't know how many relationships actually exude this. Is literally the importance of like acknowledging acknowledging attempts to do better, acknowledging complimenting each other. I don't think that in relationships I've seen that like we don't compliment each other enough. It's something to pat each other on the back. That's what I mean. Like that's a part of managing an ego. It's also as managing. A good manager should they'll give you your flowers when you're doing a great job, but then they'll also sit you down and tell you that okay, well you're lackluster here. You know what I mean? We're gonna need you to be more productive in this area.
But they talk to you the right way to
Yeah,
make you
and I mean at
because
the end,
they motivate you to go get it done.
but the thing
And that's
is
all
that
the
if you
managers judge on.
if you're giving me my praise, then when you're coming down on me, then I don't feel bad about when you're. I think that it's coming from a place of
Right. It's genuine.
it's genuine.
It's
If you're giving
genuine.
me just praise, then it's like okay, I can much more easily take in the fact that you feel a way about this, and I'm going to be more apologetic about whatever it is I'm making you feel about. You know
But
what I mean? Because of the fact that like you're patting my back, and even though I feel like I'm working hard, like I said that like most of the guys that I am around, they feel like they aren't appreciated, and that's like the main thing that really gets
Oh,
to
okay.
them. And so I think that the management of the
Well, those
ego
flowers,
is very
you gotta talk
important,
about those flowers. If you're gonna coach hard,
and it's on both
you
sides
gotta love hard, and that's what I
for
get.
sure.
If you're
Exactly,
gonna coach hard,
you
and
gotta
you're gonna be
love
the
hard.
coach
Yep.
that's gonna
Nah, that's a
yell and
fact.
scream and stuff,
Hmm.
when I get that steal and get that layup, and then I
You
need
gotta
you to
be.
come hugging
Hmm.
me,
Hmm.
doing that because those go hand in hand. You can't coach me hard if you can't love me hard.
Yeah, I hit the game winner, and then I missed the next one.
Eh,
I'm gonna need for you
or
to
if I hit the game winner and you don't say nothing.
exactly,
And
and
then
then I missed the next
and
one,
then
and
you
then you want to be
screaming
hard.
at me.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
I think that's important, and that goes to like something you said, Quentin. And I think I'm gonna try to segue it into your topic. But as far as like when you said like when it comes up to like also another thing in management is when you do hit those conflicts, when you do hit those conflicts, this motherfucker you know was vulnerable with you and shared his insecurities and stuff. If you then go and use those in a moment of
Things
conflict to gain an advantage. That's a
never do
super
that.
red flag, and that's terrible character. And you can't be a leader. You can't be my coach. You can't do any of
You
that
can't come
if
back from it.
you really can't come back.
Can't come
And
back from it.
if that, and so I think that's a big piece. Like also when you were talking about like that communication and understanding people, a lot of it comes down to just character too. I can communicate all of this stuff too, and I'm trusting you with my communication. But if you take, and a lot of times you won't know what a person's character is until you fight or until you hit that rough spot, and then you get to see how they how they act under pressure, how I act under
Hmm.
pressure. But then if you see when it was good, I feel like this and I feel like that, and then when it get bad, well this motherfucker this,
Hmm.
and then you got bad character, and it's not my fault because I didn't recognize it until now. I can't get mad at myself for not recognizing the bad character, but because it wasn't there, it wasn't shown.
It hadn't
Sometimes
presented
you
itself.
you don't people put up that front, and you see that good side of a person, and the only way you see that real person is when it's some pressure. When
Hmm.
it's fourth quarter and it's 5 seconds left, and you gotta hit that shit. Then you see how a motherfucker really act.
Fourth quarters are important. And I'm gonna cap off this
Well,
topic real quick, brothers. Make sure that you appreciate these traits that we talking about right now. When you see these traits put themselves to the forefront, make sure that you do everything you can to appreciate these. What do you want to call it? Feminine maternal characteristics. Make sure that you I say overdo or go as far as you can because these are the things that's gonna create the longevity.
this is a good space to switch gears,
Hmm.
and we'll go to Q because this is his question. I think it's a good space to switch over to his question, and I'll let you answer exit. I was with you
An
last week.
observation that I have had over the past weeks and more so months in general, right? Um, and I think that it's starting to become to a detriment for us as men is the fact that we have now become excessively focused on telling everybody what we don't want. And we've gotten really good at that. And like just speaking about like, and I don't like this, and that's the other shit that I don't like, and this is what that look like, and these women that's that. And we're really successful at that. But I don't really hear too much of that dialogue when it comes down to, what is it that I actually look for and want in a woman? What do these traits actually look like, and how do I find them, and where do I find those traits at?
That's the hardest part.
And I think that if I was to title my section per se, it'll be creating your own selection bias, right? In which I think that not to be excused or confused with like an echo chamber, but when it comes to selection bias, meaning that like now, okay, I understand in general what I'm looking for. And this could be a selection bias when it comes to like the women that you're looking to have in your life, your friends that you want to have in your life, the people that you want to surround yourself in general. There's a saying that says that you are an average of your friends, right? So if you just keep like specific versions of people around you, then again, like there is a certain thing that comes with that. Where, of course, you want to have people that you're bringing up. You also want to have people that you look up to, and that's just a way that it should be. And to kind of like circle back to like building this point, creating your own selection bias. I think that it is important that us as men, especially specifically now, because I think that we've gotten into a space where we almost just enjoy mostly just talking about the things that we don't like. It's rare that I really hear conversations that's starting to talk about what we want. And the thing is that there's actually, as much as the different things that we don't like, there's a whole bunch of variety in the shit that we actually want.
And like.
And like, yes. And I think that we'll probably be way more successful when it comes down to whether it's dating, relationships, marriages, XYZ, if we start figuring out that and understanding where now can I find these people in abundance. I give the example, if I like business women with, XYZ, intelligent business women, blah, 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 where can I find this group to where like now I'm vetting from this specific thing? Oh, damn, I can go to a 5 p.m. happy hour downtown. This is like, now I've increased the likelihood of where my selection bias leads me to where I can find within that group the better things that I'm looking for. I said a lot. I'd like to start off by asking y'all this. What do y'all look for? What are the positive qualities that you actually look for in a woman?
I want to respond to some of the stuff you just said before I answer that, though. And
Okay, all right.
I actually agree with a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to, I'd like to
Unpack.
unpack.
I love this.
I don't unpack. I like to build on.
Okay.
I like to build.
Well, don't let me get you sidetracked.
I like
Go ahead,
to
build, brother.
I like to build.
Okay.
First thing, like you said about like the friend groups.
Okay.
And like you're an average of who you hang. I seen Joey Badass talk about this, the thirds rule. 30 of your friends should have more than you.
Shout out to 18 Keys.
A 30 of your friends should have more than you.
30 of your friends.
A 30 of your friends should be on the same level as you, peers. And then the last third should be people that you have more than, and people that you're teaching and building up. And that's balance. That's true balance. I thought I fucked with that, what you said. When it comes to, like you say, I do think like what we get a lot of nowadays is when it comes to men and what we're saying. You hear a lot of men saying, and I personally, I think it's more of the femininity of men showing more when we start talking about, well, we don't like this and on like that. It's more of a, it's more. Ain't.
Yeah, that's a fucking stretch, Armstrong. But go ahead.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's. I feel like men are more. And it's my personal, like I said, I might be biased. I'm a man, so I might look at it from a certain way. But I feel like as a man, I've always tried to be more solution based. And when I hear people that just are crying about the problems.
Mm-hmm.
These women are this. These women are that. I don't like these women. I don't like these women. To me, and like I say, it might not be feminine. It might have been the wrong word, but that's something
Yeah,
I
all
don't.
right. So I want to just interject really quickly. I think that it probably would be beneficial if, like, we start um changing the verbiage that we use when it comes down to like men and then expressing emotion.
Right.
Because of like when you do tag on feminine, it then like
I was getting there.
reinforces a
I was
lot of
getting there.
like
Yes.
negative things when it comes to like actually allowing men to express
No,
it.
you're
Because
absolutely
of, like, as
right.
soon as you hear that, that becomes a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
You,
But it
you
is also actually important to do the thing.
The fact. And
no,
that's
you're right. And like I say, when after I said it, I kind of realized I might want to walk that back, but I had already said it. So,
mm-hmm.
but yeah, you're absolutely right though. So maybe that's not the word I should have used there. But me as a person, I won't say man, as a person, I'm more solution based.
Mm-hmm.
And like if there's an issue, yes, I was allowed to cry about it for a while. After the first day, couple minutes, what are you gonna do about it?
Absolutely.
And as if we're gonna talk about men, what are we gonna do about it? And like what you said about like even talking about what we like as opposed to talking about what we don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Celebrating. We just talked about good character. Lord, the past couple of weeks, we didn't talk about a lot of characteristics in women that we like outside of what they look like, how much money they make. Outside of a lot of things, we didn't talk about just fire ass character, characteristics in women that we are looking for. And like I say, the more we can talk about that, the more we can get other people to talk about that, the more that can be just more commonplace. I think you will start to see.
And you
You
elevate the conversation. You start
elevate the conversation, you elevate the culture, you elevate the society. You'll see more people striving. Damn, let's see what these motherfuckers talking about. Let me, you know what? I might not have had good character in every situation. Let me, try. And so, and like I say, I think it's good that we are identifying the things that we like. And like I say, we're unpacking it past just the average red pill conversation about a motherfucker looking good and us being traditional providers. We're keeping it real. How do you provide for these women that we're actually dealing with in real life as average men, like how do we take care of those women?
Mm-hmm.
As men. And like you say, there's certain things as men we got to do, but certain things that we need to do what we want to do, and we start talking about those. And it's not physical to me, Like I say, looks is. I think that's subjective. I know dudes that like the big joints. I know dudes that like the little string beans. Everybody like what they like. We live in the culture. You ain't supposed to judge nobody based off what they like. So that's out the door. Everybody can like what they like. So that just leaves character.
For sure.
And so we ain't judging people on how they look and all their skin color, all of that. We gotta judge them off their character, and so we gotta talk about good character people. We
Yeah.
we
So
gotta
what I
talk about, and we gotta celebrate them. We gotta push them in the front. We gotta,
I
we
agree.
gotta give them their time their camera time. We gotta give them all
Yeah,
of
no,
that.
and I'd agree, but the one thing that I think that's like first off, I think that is definitely for to me. I don't know. You said the I guess red pill manosphere thing has been around longer than I had known it to be around. So I think that it's definitely important for men, which I don't even know if they actually care, but I think it's important for men to say what they don't like. But then I don't think that you should harp on what you don't like so long, like longer than you trying to come up with the solution. I think that establishing the idea that there is a problem is first step. Then working on the solution to that problem would be then us trying to express what it is that we like.
Like, what percentage
So,
should you put towards the solution? What percentage should you
well, I
put
mean
towards the problem?
well, first off, let's just establish that that men feel that there's a problem.
Yeah,
Then once we establish that fact, it's like, okay, so what do we like? I don't necessarily know if it mass that a lot of women actually care, but like I said, I had this conversation
I don't think
previously.
that really
But
matters.
what I would say is that go ahead.
I was going to say it's beneficial to start expressing what you like because as a woman, when you get on social media, all you hear is women aren't this, women aren't that.
Mm,
So it's like you're giving all these negative things, but nobody's really uplifting what they like. So as a woman, How am I supposed to know what men like if y'all don't talk about it?
Agree.
How do I know if I fit into your criteria if you don't talk about it?
And I'm not trying to. I'm not refuting what you're saying at all. I would say that I think that these, even if you listen to like the Fresh and Fit guys, they're, which I don't agree with most of the stuff they say, but they also still say like the feminine. What is it? They got some kind of fucking
We're talking about
5 F's
feminine,
or some
feminine.
shit. Some way that they
Oh,
even
they just regurgitating what
Kevin
Kevin
said.
Samuels said.
Okay, so like there's a level in which we can say that there is something that's being established that, and I don't think that, and I'm not saying that this is the absolute accurate thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I think that most average men are willing to accept less than what these guys are talking about because they're speaking from a place of, you know what I mean? They're
But
speaking
what
from
they're
the
talking
1%
about is
mindset.
not even something that's super realistic in
No, for
in
sure.
reality.
For sure. But what I'm saying is that like I
And
think
I
that.
think the only reason they talk about it is because they
But
get
I mean, at the
views.
same time, we can sit here and talk about how like the average man has already expressed that they don't like makeup. Most
Okay,
men
so let's
say that they
actually
don't like makeup. Most men talk about like
let's
the long
actually list
eyelashes.
characteristics that you like because that was the
Oh,
question.
yeah. So well, I mean,
Right, and
he was
that's
saying
what I'm
that
saying.
we
Like,
keep on regurgitating the things we don't like versus
yeah,
the things
that's
we
what
like.
you,
So I
you
think that if you sit there and say
Man
that, okay,
fell
well,
into it.
no. I mean, at the end of the day, if you say that I don't like all of the makeup and that means that I like natural women.
But
We've
that's
been
physical.
saying
What
Okay,
about
but
natural
you
women.
could
characteristics?
just
That's
lead with like I like natural.
No, I
women.
get it. I get it.
Yeah,
Lead
you
with
could just
that.
lead with
Lead
that.
with that. But I think that we like niggas been saying that for a long time.
But
Well, then
that's
just
more of the
continue to
physical. What
lead
about
with
the
that.
actual characteristics, like below the surface,
Below the surface.
below the
yeah,
physical
like you kind of just
attraction?
had
Okay,
hit
What
on
are
well,
the actual
idea
like
that
solid
I'd agree with that.
characteristics that you look for? That's what we're looking
That's
for.
definitely what I haven't heard. I haven't heard much of like the beneath the surface, what you actually are looking for. I would agree with that 100%.
Mhm.
None of these guys have actually talked about this. The Kevin Samuels, Fresh Free. I haven't heard that from any of this manosphere shit. So like that is something that I would agree that should always put a
that's
ticket against
literally what
canceling. We
makes
should cancel
relationships
these
work.
niggas. Well, I mean, I'm not saying that we shouldn't cancel them at this point. Like
Shouldn't what?
I'm not saying that we shouldn't cancel them at this point.
Cancel them.
The manosphere thing, we should at this point, like
Oh.
you've said your piece to
I
give
don't
your
think you should
complaints.
cancel nobody. Let them
I'm
talk.
just saying, like on average population, we should stop listening to these niggas because they're not talking to or about us. So or they talking to us, but it's not about us. So we should go ahead and stop because it's unproductive. It's
Okay.
very unproductive to regular people.
Well, I think it's
I
so
want to reel this in a little bit. Before we get too far off track. Because the original question was, what characteristics do you look for in a woman? And none of y'all have yet to say an actual characteristic that you look for in a woman. So let's just really back
So
and get to
I did.
the
I
wanna
answer.
start.
I did.
Okay, so like when I'm gonna tell you something.
Definitely did.
After a 10
Yeah.
year,
I didn't hear a characteristic. I heard you talk in circles. I don't know if you really answered the question,
No,
Johnny.
I talked about.
I know you talked for a long time.
Yeah.
yeah, that's what, and that,
I talked about. I
and
talked
that's why
about.
I figured we got lost right there.
Yeah.
I,
Well,
I
no.
forgot what the
I talked
actual
about.
question
I
was
talked about a
completely.
woman. I talked about a
Johnny was
woman
a fool,
having.
yeah.
I talked about a woman having good character, emotional intelligence,
Yeah, you did say that.
in intelligence. Like I've already
You did.
listed all these characteristics
You
that
threw
we
us off though. You
low.
Maybe it was just
you
the length of
veered.
Yeah, I
time
think
that you
yeah,
were
like,
speaking for.
you did a cue. Y'all say I've
Okay.
been talking for a long time.
So let me
You-
just
you ran
answer
one
that
down
question. I
for me.
like
Well,
that.
thank you, Johnny.
I mean, like y'all might
You
have.
sitting on the couch,
I'm-
you trying to be me.
I'm saying I might have. This
Nigga
is
say
your
trying to
spot.
be me.
This is your spot.
Hey, look at his feet.
I gotta give y'all.
Look at his
I
feet.
gotta give y'all the nuance.
Look at his feet. I told that man he need to go and sit over there. I told him that you gonna go. All right, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So I'll give my direct answer to what it is that I would look for. I feel like we had this question recently, but number one, I think that-
like last week.
I think that we definitely have an understanding at this point as grown men that this whole idea of this physical attraction that has dropped a good bit. These 1% got these niggas be talking about all that. That doesn't apply to us regular men. So I would think that like physical attraction is not the first thing. So like I would say that one thing what the pretty much I would say the biggest thing for me is that the ability to dialogue, to have a back and forth where it's not like that. It doesn't have to end in you being mad about my opinion. The ability to have an opinion and still respect my opinion and understand that it's okay to agree to disagree. That is one of the big things. The ability to agree to disagree is very important. I'd say also a level of like morality. I would say when I say morality, I mean like genuinely to the understand that like what I want to be is a good person. I just like literally like I don't want to cause anything to a negative to anybody. I don't have any malice in my heart to anybody. So I would want that to be something that she stands on. Like she doesn't want to she doesn't hold grudges. You know what I mean? She doesn't try eh, to impact people negatively purposefully just based on that whole feeling thing like the ability to let things go and yeah, to rise above these. You know what I mean? Not to be overly or there's a little bit of what do I say? The, emotionally intelligent
Is that selflessness?
selflessness. Yeah, that is selflessness. The ability to put to back burner the it's not the need to not having the need to carry things, not having the need to carry these emotions towards someone or towards a thing to want so much that they are negatively affected.
Mm.
I'd say that yeah, I think that the first one was like my one of the major things. The idea that like you're not right because you think it, and I'm not right because I think it, and it's okay that it's no need to and I think that that's a level of emotional intelligence. So I should have said emotional intelligence is number one, and then I'd say that like I ain't really a tough guy. I'm like one of the old school guys. They don't really. Another thing is the appreciation for the maternal instincts of a woman. I would like for her to appreciate and love to push to the forefront those ideas, those more maternal ideas, as far as like wanting to choose what the family eats, wanting to make sure because that health part. I think I definitely value as you we all been knowing since the podcast been going on. I 100% value those maternal instincts of a woman. And go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to ask you. All right. So as you've been kind of like unpacking like certain things that you actually want. Um, have you what have you done to be able to find people that fit the criteria of those characteristics? Um,
It's a great question.
That
So
was going to be my next question.
yeah, no. So like for me, at the end of the day, we know I got married at what 19, 20 years old.
mhm,
So married 13 to 14 years this year,
okay.
October this year. So I haven't like been through like the what I well only thing I can say what I've done is um absolutely nothing to because I've not been in this whole single space too much. So
Mhm.
I'm that's not a good question for me. Like I've not and I was like introduced to more spaces where these kind of people that we're talking about like are, but it's like I'm a guy that I don't even know how to even really really say it. Like
Can I chime in on that?
go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, so just off of the question that you just asked, I actually agree with a lot of the qualities that Jeremy was just saying.
Okay.
Well, Rail was just saying. Um, but the one thing I'm sitting there looking at or whatever, as far as like, dang, ask the question the way you just asked it again, Quintel.
Oh, so whatever qualities that you look for,
Hmm.
where do you go to find the people that share similar likeness as you?
Okay, this is one of those things I feel like is an attraction question, like in one of those things like as far as like law of attraction. I don't even necessarily like you using that word, but I do think a lot of like your character traits attract what you attract what you are to yourself, or like you
Mm,
attract it to yourself. So
right.
I think like a lot of the ways like I've tended to have pretty nurturing women in my relationships. That's one of the things I do appreciate. But part of the reason that it's being like that is because I'm also like in tune with nurturing and what that takes in appreciation of it.
Hmm.
I think you kind of attract those things to yourself when you actually are paying attention. You appreciate them, like you got gratitude for it.
So do you
And
think
I'd
that
also
there's
think
no
that
level of intentionality that you can do to place yourself around
I
more
think
women
I think
that
gratefulness
are
is a
like
level of intentionality.
nurturing and like the pieces that you like, but also start to X out some of those negative qualities that might keep your relationship
I
from
think
being
when you
successful.
X out those negative qualities in yourself, you start to recognize that stuff in other people. I don't think you can like I really truly think that people are mostly mirroring each other. So a lot of times when people get in relationships and they be like, this woman wild and then she doing all of that, it be because they got something in them that was attracted to that. So the only reason
but I think honestly to make this well, I guess for me, and to make this conversation make a little bit kind of, I ain't gonna say more sense. I think it could be better to think about it in more of the friendship realm of things. Because if we, at the end of the day, we sit here and like, I think that most relationships should start from friendships. I don't think that there's nobody with that really. Not, I ain't saying you my best friend. We gonna start a relationship, but I think that most relationships should start from friendship. So if we take it there, then that could make a little bit more sense.
Let's look at it.
Whereas like, where do you place yourself to be around like-minded people?
Yeah, but
That's what you're saying, right?
Well, people shouldn't date people they couldn't be friends with.
So, for example, right? I know for a fact I have no interest in talking to ratchet women.
That's all.
So I will always make sure that I'm never in scenarios and situations and put myself in places, especially if I'm looking to be interested in women, to not be around these people. So I'm not gonna go to the clubs that they go to. I'm not gonna like hang out and chill and relax in places that they at. I'm gonna make sure that so bare minimum, the people that are in this space have already made it past that threshold to where I ain't even gotta like interact with them. And that's what my selection bias now is like. All right, so the people that I'm around,
not going to the club.
They don't even right. But the club, I think the club's a lower hanging fruit example of it. But I think that in general, as we start cleaning up our lives per se, we start correcting for things that we know we can get away from that aren't going to be beneficial. So like I said, so ratchet is an easy thing. Like, so then again, now we can start going for a certain level of intelligence. So then I can start thinking about like where are places that I like a smart woman that either they're going to be at, that maybe they work at, or they like to visit. And then now I'm like, and this can be like a litany of things. Oh damn. Discovery Place is having adult night. Damn, that might be a fire.
My sister put me on
that might be a fire space. Okay, boom. The Mad Mouse junk. This is where, or actually, even if we went like live at the 5, I'm looking for like a smart woman that is in her career X, Y, and Z. This is a place that I can go. I'm interested in like artistic women. Damn. Let me go to an open mic, like understanding what you're looking for or some qualities, and knowing how to find those. I think that's just really beneficial in general.
No, I'd agree because I think that like even like a lot of dudes, what they'll say is that like, yeah, these type of women they just stay home. That's what like most of the guys that
that's
I know.
That's what you hear.
That you would think that that's what they're saying. What I'm not saying that that's not true, but what I would say is that I agree with you that there are places where you can find these women.
I think that's a cop out, so they can.
It's a lazy
literally, it's laziness, nigga. You ain't really trying to do what you saying you trying to do. You know what I mean?
To say they be in the house.
Yeah. So it's your excuse for going to the club and dealing with the low hanging fruit and then complaining about women.
Right now, it's a fact.
I want to respond to something you just said, Quintet. Okay. Like the same thing I was just saying, basically. Like the example you just gave, like you realize you had to change. Like with what you were saying, you have to. That stuff is still coming from you. Like you're making up your mind on, hey, I like this, so my personality aligns with this, so I'm gonna go here. That's what I mean by like you attract. Like,
oh no, for sure. Like you're speaking inside like the theoretical thing. So now I'm trying to take the theory and put it into practice.
Oh, I'm not even talking theoretical. I think it's like a literal thing. Like literally, as like say like when you looking at your 20s or whatever, the type of women that you was with. The reason that changed is because you dealt with different situations and you've seen different things that change within yourself, your mind. So that ended up resulting in different results in your dating life.
So you're saying you don't know that you don't like ratchet women until you've had a.
No, this is what it is you have to unlearn it. And practice a new. Because the thing is that like he took me to a new place, and I was like, damn, it's right down the street from the hood. But from the people that in the places that the people that I talked to, nobody ever brought it up. I didn't even know it was there. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm just searching for hood shit. I'm just actually in the house, like what we were just talking about. Like they're saying they in the house, I'm in the house, so I don't know. You know what I mean? So like, and I understand what he's saying too, and at the end of the day, I think it is a good conversation for men that's looking for, you know what I mean, looking for these type of women. There are a plethora of places within Charlotte, especially New Charlotte. New Charlotte got a lot of places where you can go and find these type of people because they are out there. So, bro, if you out there and you trying to get yourself out of these ratchet scenarios, which you probably ain't. It just sound good to you if you've been around in it so much. But if you are, there are plenty of places within the city that promote
Yeah.
this idea. You don't have to keep going to the club. Who at the end of the day, bro, you're 35, 40 years
Bro,
old.
you
You
don't need
still
to be
going in the club,
35
bro. Let
plus
it
going
go.
to the club.
Just
Yeah,
kind
nah,
of
for sure.
tying in those
And
two conversations we just had too, just like together, like a lot of the men like where a lot of men are complaining about what women do or whatever. Like we was talking about, like a lot of men complaining about what women don't do or what they don't like. If you don't like it, that means you need to change something in yourself. Point blank, like the stuff that you like,
Stop
you're
doing the
gonna
same
keep
shit.
attracting what you don't like. 'cause
And
you
that's
don't like
probably the
yourself.
big thing. Most of the men complaining are going to those same spaces, and most of the women complaining are going to the same spaces as well. We're
But they ain't
complaining
changing.
about dating the same person
They're
over and
complaining,
over and over
but
in
they're
our
not
lives.
changing their action. They're
right.
doing the same shit they've always
Exactly.
done and
In
getting the
which
same results.
I think that so I mean again I guess I'll use a Johnny term to build on that whole thing. So like if you have evolved as a person, there probably has to be a certain level of intentionality to change your surroundings, and making sure because again like I said I know for a fact like when I hear a lot of people talk about a lot of different scenarios and situations, it's never within my circumference. Like these are never like the actual situations that that I really have like any real time witness of. And even if I think about like pretty much 100%, I think no, I'll probably say 90%, 95% of the relationships that I've been in, it tends to be like these women look different, but there's a lot of very similar characteristics. And
Mm.
I think that there's a certain level of as Tone said,
Once
like
you get to a certain age, that you
but
see that.
but I
shit.
think there's a level of intentionality to where you're finding the people and the crowds that you're running within as
And
well.
I agree with you 100%. You know something too, something to tell. Like, bro, it don't take bread to find a decent woman.
Not at all.
That's what I think that we actually believe. I think that a lot of men we actually believe that like going
No, I
to
think bread
Optimus
makes
Hall.
it harder to find a
I think,
decent woman.
but
I
I think
actually
that
agree, and
I
that's
think
why I was
I
trying to get
think
Willie.
bread. I
Well,
think
I was using the attention thing.
bread makes it because if you have bread, you gotta think you're.
no, I ain't talking about like big bread. I'm talking about like
Man,
Let me
you-
land real quick though. I want-
average man bread. What I'm talking about is like you don't necessarily have to have have a bunch of things to go to Optimus Hall. Like you can literally go in there and just walk around and have a decent conversation with a decent person and spark something.
Mhm.
Like it doesn't take for you to, you know what I mean? When I say bread, I ain't talking about like 50 grand a year. When I say bread, it's like the upwards to that's what I mean when I say bread.
Yeah. Can I
Upwards
build
to
on what
the
you're saying
blade.
real quick?
Go ahead.
And I think that as well, there's a piece where going with like you don't need like there's also a woman in like there's women inside like quote unquote low income areas that are decent women
For sure.
as well, but you also have to
Absolutely.
understand the actual qualities that you're looking for.
Mhm.
And I think that those and that's where like I said, like it's so easy to like just see all the ratchet shit. And I like again for me, I be having blindness. It's so much shit I don't care about. And if I don't care about it, I just don't even pay much attention. But like what does spark my interest sparks it for a real reason. Because of like I'm honed in on like the things that I like and care about. But yeah, nonetheless, I think that I like to wrap it up on my half on my behalf by saying that there's been like interest even like this week there's been interesting conversation that speaks to the notion of what I'm hitting on and to build it is that we get so caught up in like this idea of like high value man or like this woman that exhibits all these like external factors where the reality of everything is that just like we say don't say black on black crime because you kill people that's around you. And so like black people are going to kill black people. But then you look at white people statistics and white people kill white people too.
you can say black
at
on
an
black.
excessively
I'm gonna
high
just say
rate.
white on white.
Right. All right. So but not to get lost in the example,
Mhm.
people of the same socioeconomic level at an excessive high rate marry and date each other. So the people you surround yourself with are going to be the people that you talk to, date, befriend, marry, build businesses with. That's going to be the reality of it. in which there is again it's socioeconomic. So there is also a piece of the pie that is a choice as well, which is the socio, and the economic, of course. But
Some smart
make sure
shit
that
that
you're
nigga just said.
understanding the people that you're surrounding yourself with. Say it again.
No, I said that's some smart shit you just said. He broke down like the social
Oh.
and economic. Yeah, you do have a choice. Like, I like that.
Nah, for sure. Like, and again, bring it back to like you're going to be an average of the people you're around. I guarantee you're gonna be an average. The woman gonna be an average of the women that you're around as well.
Mhm.
And I think that that's a fact.
But no, I think that's a good place. We'll switch gears. 'Cause I think my question.
It's on you now, ain't it?
Yeah, no, I think my question go hand in hand with the conversations that we've been having as far as like, well, my question was the importance of effective communication and listening for understanding.
Mm.
'Cause I think that's something where just as a country, and like I said, I wanted to talk about this last week. We got, we ain't get to it. It's kind of ironic that it still works, within this conversation. But I think a lot of what we're talking about when we're talking about men and women and talking about what we want and what we don't want and stuff, it comes down to it's effective communication. And effective communication comes down to, like I say, managing ego, how you say something, building enough rapport with somebody to be able to have that tough conversation. A lot of people want to just meet somebody and have a tough conversation without like taking that time to build the rapport to be able to have that tough conversation. If I don't know you from a can of paint, I can't just sit up there and, even if it's what I think, I can't do that. Now, if I done met you and we done been locked in for 2 or 3 years, then I can come and be like, hey, bro.
2 or 3 years?
It might not take that long. It might take longer than that. Every stage is different. But I'm just saying, once that rapport is built, I mean, I've built rapport in 10 minutes. Sometimes it takes 2 years to build rapport with certain people. But once that rapport is built, then I can have that tough conversation. But I don't think a lot of people really understand the, the concept of building rapport. And like before you can disagree with somebody, you got to agree on something. And I think we got to find something that we do agree. Like, but before I come bring up a disagreement with you, I'll be like, bro, I saw how you was doing that, man. I agree with that. You was right.
There's definitely a technique to
I agree with you. I think, I fuck with you. And then I'll let that, and then I'll be like, but I seen when you did this, I didn't necessarily fuck with that because of X, Y, Z. And that's just all about communication, and just how you approach saying certain things. I don't think enough people put enough emphasis on that. I think people just get emotional and say what they think without looking at the other person, without reading the room. You just say read the room.
That's the worst way to communicate, for sure.
What? Without reading the room?
Well, no, being emotional and just saying,
just spewing.
Yeah.
Just spewing your thoughts with no filter. You're just spewing. Some people, you get comfortable with them, and that's what they'll do. Some people you build that rapport, and then you be like, oh, this is just an unfiltered motherfucker. He's just saying I can't work with him. But now that we built that rapport, I know that. I know that about you, and if I choose to say something, I know how to approach it. Most times I just walk away because it's not worth that conflict. But you gotta have that kind of understanding. Then it comes to the opposite end of that is listening for understanding and not just automatically being offended when somebody says something that you don't agree with. And you could think 2 + 2 = 5, and a motherfucker come in and say it equal 4, and then be like, "Oh, fuck that!" No. But then you listen to him explain, and you be like, "You know what? I kind of agree with that." But a lot of people, as soon as they hear something they don't agree with, they shut down. They're no longer listening. They're just barely even hearing you at that point. They just want you to stop talking so they can say however they feel, and then they go, but that's not listening. For understanding, you're not trying to understand you're not trying to understand their point of view or where they're coming from. I disagreed with that. And like we said about men or just relationships, we'll talk. The easy thing is to talk about what you don't like. And have a conversation. I don't like. You said this. I didn't like it. You said that. I didn't like it. It's hard to, when a motherfucker be like, yeah, but I'm fucking up here. It's hard to come and be like, yeah, you said this and I didn't like it, but you was right. you,
Yeah, and I think
you
oftentimes,
you was right, and that's when it comes to that effective communication and listening for understanding. I think that's where it goes hand in hand.
yeah, nah, for me, I think that I get it specifically like when we're talking about like communication amongst peers and communication amongst people that you don't know. Uh, to me, I think that that's more of a if you're a person that's literally like getting into random arguments with people you don't know,
But I think
you're
this
more than
applies
likely
more
to
to your relationships. Though.
yeah. So I was just gonna say that like if that's what's happening to you, you have to sit there and reflect on yourself and understand that you are the only common piece to every conversation,
I'm a
and you're
dickhead.
probably the fucking problem.
I'm a dickhead.
Then let's take it along to where you were meaning like in relationships. I think that one thing that'll be healthy within relationships for us to understand is that men and women communicate differently. I think that we're a lot of the things are like merging men and women and the way we move and think into the same place. And I don't think that that is it makes sense within the construct of what men are or men are and what women are. I think that women will oftentimes say that they don't like that men shut down, which I understand. Like a lot of the times when you bring something to a man, I think that it's a level of tact that you should use. And man, it actually me and Q was having a conversation recently where he was saying that there was a matter of fact, this was like I think we had this conversation a minute ago where there was a friend of a friend that was trying to figure out when is a good time for me to bring up certain issues so that I can actually have a decent response from him. And we actually had the conversation. It was like, okay, well, do you think that you bring it up after sex? No, that's not
Yeah.
the
Oh no,
time
I
to
think we
try
had
to
it on the
bring it
pod,
up.
actually.
Oh, maybe we did have it on the pod.
Yeah.
And so we agreed, like, that makes no sense. Don't bring it up after
That's
sex.
the
No,
dub right
I'm
there.
really about to try and go to sleep.
Didn't we
If
say you
I,
bring it up like around food or something? Wasn't that
Yeah,
the?
that's
yeah,
what
that was what I had said. Like, you know what I mean? And see,
Yeah,
when you got around food, if you cook that plate or
that
whatever,
meal.
then it's not necessarily the food. It's about the fact that I'm in good spirits. So my the chances that my response goes completely left if you're actually being tactful, which you've already been tactful to kind of planning around a time when we're in good spirits, and then but you should also plan to say it in a way that makes sense like that where you're wanting the positive effect. You want the as long as you're putting in your mind, I'm trying to figure out how to get the outcome in which I'm looking for.
Some emotional intelligence, but it's also communicative intelligence too. She knows how to communicate, or if she
only one that like hop in for a quick side.
He's about to say some fun silly ass shit. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So ladies, I think that this is the part where like effective communication for your partner is great. Cause I do not want you to bring shit up while I'm eating
Yeah.
or while I'm full. Like I need my spaces of homeostasis where I just feel good and I'm chill. On the full stomach, I'm probably ain't trying to be bothered. For real, he want to hear. Go ahead, my bad.
No. That was the
I'm
example we gave
joking.
last time.
ladies, you got to bring it up before he finish eating.
No,
No, I don't want.
no. The
For
thing
me,
is
that
that
ain't the spot.
what,
But no, I
Cause
mean,
I'm gonna still eat.
but I guess I'm gonna let you because
I'm gonna
I
still
think that
eat.
goes to like
the
something else.
idea in which I was presenting that was like in a situation where he's feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's going to be your best chance. The best chance to actually have the conversation. But then also you have to understand that men and women communicate differently. And as a man, it's if we have so many women to say that men shut down when they bring something to them, then we have to understand that like this is not him. This is not your last dude. This is men in general. So
And also,
you have to critique the way that you're actually trying to have this conversation or critique the way that you're attempting to communicate. And then you have to understand that, like, I'm as a man, I'm not necessarily going to want to talk when you're ready to talk. And I think it's disrespectful for you to try to make me speak or talk or communicate when I'm not in the mode too. So also, all I say is that like you make sure that just be intentional. That's all it is. Not let your emotions run you crazy and be intentional so that you can have the response that you're looking for. Otherwise, you're gonna set yourself up for him to pretty much not want to talk to your ass,
At all.
and it goes left, and then now you're so emotional that you're mad that he's not talking to you, so you're not talking to him, and then this goes on for a week.
But when you talk about intentional, like we're all different people. Like what y'all just said. The dinner shit might work for you, might not work for you.
Right.
And that's something where y'all's partners have to understand the difference, and where like I can maybe do this with this person, but this is a totally different person.
But and the thing is to what I'm saying is to allow as a man, because the thing is what I think that a lot of women do is that they'll because I feel like talking right now, and he's being quiet. I'm gonna be- I'm gonna mess around and pull out of him exactly what he's not trying to say by being quiet. He's literally trying not to say this thing because and this is the whole reason why he's being quiet, because he has his rebuttal, and his rebuttal is not going to be constructive. His rebuttal is literally going to make things worse. So he'll be quiet and allow you to get this off, and then you're trying to pull this out of him. And if you keep going, then you'll get what he's thinking. You'll get what he's thinking. That very thing that he's not trying to say, he's going to say it.
It's gonna hurt your feelings.
And it throws everything out of whack. So what I would say is that, like, it's just about being, it's if you're going to be in a relationship, it's a lot of selflessness that goes into it. So because I feel a way don't necessarily mean I need to say what it is that I'm feeling
Or react,
or react.
like be vindictive,
Either way it goes is that,
because
like,
vindication
allow a
kills
person that
relationships.
time to actually to digest exactly what they want to say, because then I can filter this thing. But I can't filter it while you still doing this. I can't filter it that way. So now you keep doing this, and now I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, all right, well, look, then, you know what I mean? I'm gonna go ahead and give it to you raw and uncut. But also, as men, we also don't need to
But where did
not
that where did
hold
that
on, hold
reaction come from?
it comes from the timing. It comes from the timing. I think it
Be-
mostly
being
comes from the
attacked.
timing.
It comes from being attacked.
Yes, and it comes from the timing, and then the idea that you're going to make me speak to you right now.
Right.
So now I'm going to give you exactly what it seems as though you want.
Or don't want.
You don't
No,
want it,
no,
or
no
but
matter
and I
what.
mean, but
Yeah.
the one thing that we can't do as men either is that once that thing comes about, we must also have in our minds that we're going to take the time to address it when we're ready. Don't let this draw out over weeks and shit. No, no, no. We need to make sure that we can go to sleep happy. You know what I mean? So whether it be, as long as we can go to sleep happy tonight, if we can go to sleep happy tonight, then I'll make sure that I think about this tomorrow. We can have this conversation tomorrow. But don't string it along, because a lot of the times what they'll say is like a dude, we won't actually address it at all. And then it'll just go around the way we'll just let it, you know what I
We'll
mean? Act like it
deflect.
never happened,
Kick the can down the road.
kick the can down the road, and then that can is still there though.
And ain't
And
nobody
so
ever
that's
picked
something
it
I
up.
think that that's two pieces. We like I think that a lot of women should give us the time to digest what is being said, and you don't necessarily have to start antagonizing and nagging and being forceful with it. You should be able to speak your piece and then give me the time to digest what you're saying, and then I'll be like, okay, well, right now I don't really have any. I don't want to talk about it right now, but we'll talk about it at such and such a time. And to make sure that you're thinking about that, and so that when you do speak your mind, you're actually being intentional with your response as well.
So you're saying, like, I guess, so the importance of the effective communication is for.
To understand that we don't communicate the same way, and
Well,
then listening as men, we have to, which I think
well,
that
not, but that's, but you're saying it will help our relationships and the way the family, you
absolutely.
know, structure. You're saying if we can master that as a collective, then you'd probably see.
What else is that just to sit there and understand that the differences between how men and women communicate, how we move. Like, don't expect me to be you because I'm not you,
And don't try to be me.
and don't. Yeah, I think that that's gonna be like, to me in my life, that has been like what would work best, or what has worked best is that you allow me to be like, okay, that's enough. I get it, and then we can revisit it. And matter of fact, me and my wife just did this yesterday. There was a thing that she was pushing, and initially I was like, nah, but I didn't say nah. She just kept going. I was like, okay, that's enough, and she let me breathe. And I sat there, and that night I talked and talked it through. I had already thought in my head, I was like, you know what? She's actually right. But if she would have kept pushing me, you was gonna get this. I was gonna go ahead and feed this to you. But she allowed me that time to sit there and let that thing marinate on me. And so like I went through that night and I'm like, man, dang,
No, that's
she's
dope.
actually right. And then
Because she could have
today,
not listened. And
only
just,
thing it would have took is for her to keep going.
but she could, but that could have been, but that was a choice.
And
She
if,
could have
that's what I'm saying.
decided to keep on going.
Could have decided, which we have made. We have done that. We've done that too. She's
Every-
made that decision to keep going. And then,
Everybody has. I've
exactly.
been
So
there
like,
too.
literally, give that man that chance to digest what's going on, and then we or any decent dude, you'll go ahead and start to see yourself. You will see yourself, and just give me the opportunity to see myself. Once you pointed it out, let me have the opportunity to see
Unpack
myself,
it.
so that I can go ahead and make the intentional decision to be on board with what you're
Let me
saying,
take it home.
or
and
to come
unpack
back
it.
and tell you that, you know what I mean. This is why I don't think this way. This is why I don't agree. Is because this, and this. After I've had the chance to digest it.
I don't know. I guess like there's disagreements that I have. I guess like the overall point of like this general communication. I do agree with and effective communication. What was your initial question?
Well, it wasn't. It was the.
So
I
the
was
statement.
asking, what's the importance,
Mhm.
or in being able to have that in our society now, effective communication and listening to understand within the
Okay.
context that there's a lack of it.
Gotcha. Well, yes, I do think that there is a lack of it. And I think it's probably, if not the most, is one of the like probably top three most important things in general. Whether that's within friendships, relationships, your parents, no, like kind of no matter which way you end up
Mm-hmm.
putting it. I think that it is the most, if not the most, like it's maybe second, but I think it's high up there when it comes down to effective communication. Because just think about how many times you've left a room and been like, huh, I know what I wanted to say, but did I effectively communicate that to where like it was understood, or did I leave room for like somebody to just misinterpret what I say, and how you like
Mhm.
feel when you leave with that? You know what I mean? Like so, like if we talk about importance, I think that kind of speaks to it. Like we all know when we've been misunderstood on something that we feel strong about, but it's not specifically translating over. So I guess if I start going down the lines, so do I do disagree with like this the notion of like men communicate this way, women communicate like a specific other way in general. I really think that it's really just person based and human based. Rail he said that like men and women communicate specifically, um, inside specific different ways, and I think that through my relationships and relationships with people of both sexes, I just don't see like a consistency of like people communicating inside one specific way. Where like literally between y'all two, I communicate way different. Like it's just is what it is. And if I want to get something through to you, I communicate it way different than I do to you. It's just the fact. And like me understanding even that, and tone as well. Like I literally communicate to y'all three when it comes down to things that I want and like how I want to kind of maneuver it. And
But
even if we like draw back to like the idea of managing ego and all that shit, like it all builds itself on each other, in which like we're all so different. And I imagine y'all probably communicate with me inside a different manner as well, than you do with like a lot of different other people. But like that's something that I am excessively intentional about because of like I understand. Like some people like you want shit really blunt. Some people, and this is male or female, you like there's like a 1-2 layer into like then you have to be stern with them. But like they like they're not going to appreciate like, or take it even if you're like really like if you're stern first off. And like there's a building well I mean like you just kind of have to be around people and understand their communication style through time and what they eventually respond well to. In which I mean shit, I think last week I was talking to Newton. I was telling him like there's pieces where I'm still understanding your communication style. How do I effectively communicate like this specific thing to you to where you get this thing? Because I've tried this, and I'm still learning and figuring things out, right? And I think that that's lit for me is literally the same when it comes to relationship. Like been women that I've talked to, and like sometimes you got to tiptoe. Some people, some of them, they end up wanting to really direct. And it's like this whole like variance in between. But I think that when we like break down some barriers and just be like, all right, when we start just looking at it on a human level, like, who is this person? And again, managing ego, like, what are the ticks that get them to, like, for it to work? The thing that I'm trying to get to work to actually work, I think that that's when we start like walking into effective communication and communication styles. Because of then we can then break it into like the whole like bigger thing where we get into like psychology. So it's not really sociology, but it's like more mass comm when you start talking like communication styles and how people are receptive to different things. And then like I can hone back into like teacher me, where like that is something that we then have to drill in him. Is that like even how you speak to every single kid, like it's not like a male female version of it. It's literally like these kids understand concepts inside different. I mean, what like yes, they understand concepts in different ways in which you put it.
Yeah.
And that's even the thing. Like matter of fact, I think that I was talking to Rail this past like the other day, and we were speaking about just people and like how sometimes like some people speak inside like this specific way, and so then you have to be able to like understand and also speak in that way to even communicate with them. And I think that for me, when I think of that, I think like that's the thing when it comes down to effective communication styles, that one, you have to have an investment in the person that you're communicating with to understand what their levers are, I guess you would say, to actually like properly communicate with them.
And so what I guess the reason why, and I agree with that 100%, when it comes down to like I'll say on a friendship level or like people around you, I 100% understand that like people communicate different ways. But what I was responding to, or what made me talk about the difference between male and female, is more on a relationship basis. And what I've heard most women complain about from men is that men always shut down. And like to me, I am a guy that has been said that like I shut down, and that's one of the things that I'm, you know what I mean. One of the things that is a complaint that has been had for me. Actually, most of the guys that I talk to on a day to day, this is something that they've heard as well.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Go ahead.
How often do you feel unheard when you say something to a woman?
I would say, as far as what I mean and what they
like you
interpret,
trying to
as far as what I mean and what I
express a
interpret,
feeling,
is very
and they don't really
get what I'm trying to tell them. Yeah, I would say oftentimes is that. Well, I would say oftentimes. No. I wouldn't say is very is in relationship, like partnership relationships. I would say that that's more often than in like just regular relationship. That's what I'm saying. It's like a difference between the two.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Because there's less emotion that goes into the other ones. Those like peer-to-peer relationships. There's less emotion
I ain't talking about
that
that. I'm
goes
talking
in
about
those.
literally like inside relationship. How often do you hear men speak about being unheard in their feelings? Not like even when voiced, like it's not appreciated.
Yeah, very often.
And that's like to me, like that's just the flip of it. I think that both like people in general tend to shut down when the other person is voicing something, especially negative about
that they don't agree with.
And like and to me, and that's when I hear it. To me, that's what I hear. The fact that like it goes both ways. It just sounds different when each sex says it, but the reality is like both of those are like each of us doing our defense mechanism when somebody's saying some shit about us.
Which makes sense. I mean, at the same time, I think that as a man, like as a man, I think that and I feel like this goes right back into the conversation we had the other day. As a man, you've been hearing about yourself your entire life. Most men that I know, or like in my person, I won't even speak for all men.
Because you've always been coached.
You've always been told where you're lacking. You're continuously told. Definitely from the women that you're dating, you've been told over and over again where it is that you're lacking. And so you've heard these things, and so you know, like I don't know, huh?
I think it's even outside of the women you date, Cause like
Yeah, your sisters done told you
no,
shit. Your mom
coworker,
done told you
your
shit.
coworker, motherfucker will look at you as a man and be like, you should be performing to this level, and you'll have a woman as a girl, and they won't push them as hard. And it's and my thing is, I'm not saying you should push them as hard, but how is it fair that you're pushing me harder if you
It's the
know?
level of coddling that has happened.
But
Period. The lack of it's
but
the
not.
level of accountability that I think that women in general haven't had to hold. It's a different level of accountability for
I'm not even
men
talking
and
about
having to.
women not holding accountability. I'm talking about the men holding an unfair share of the
Yeah,
accountability.
but that's pretty much almost the same thing. Like I think that we're more. It's easier to be direct with us. So you can literally just say the thing that we're doing wrong, and even if we shut down, we've still heard it a million
But
times.
see, here's my thing,
That's just low. It's
because
just
no,
not
I
really
was gonna
true
go
at all.
back to the
You don't feel that that's true?
Have you
That
guys heard of the Myers Briggs personality test?
I
Yeah.
haven't.
Where in like the corporate, like you'll see name badge and somebody will be a green, a yellow, a blue, or a red. And like usually before you work at their job, they have you take like this long ass test, and they ask you all these certain scenario questions, and you get a certain
Color
color
badge.
based on that. And they have all these training classes based on the person's badge. Supposed to talk to them a certain way. Now, do we all pay attention? Nah, but I think there is some intrinsic value into that test
I
and
think so
how
too.
because you
That's
got
crazy.
and I'll go through the couple colors because like you got blue that's cautious.
Uh,
It's cautious, precise, deliberate, questioning, and formal. I don't think any of us are blues. You got green, caring, encouraging, sharing, patient, relaxed. I think red would be more of the green out of it. You got yellow, sociable, dynamic, demonstrative, enthusiastic, persuasive. I think Q would probably be more of the yellow. And then there's red, competitive, demanding, determined, strong willed, and purposeful. Yeah. Maybe. I got a red on my badge at work. That's the only reason I said that. It's just what I got at my job. But I think it does. There is some intrinsic value to the colors that people have based on them taking these tests and how they react to certain, situation. Everybody's different.
right. I think somewhat. I think like a piece of that also depends on the social setting in which you're taking the test at.
That's very
And that
true
also
too.
dictates
I've
the way
even
that you
said
answer
that.
that.
I've even said that too.
But I do want to kind of like make sure I respond back to Rel. I think that there like you said that men so being held higher in accountability, and I mean I think that you can make a case for that. But I don't think that means that men deal with it better. Because of like we've sat and had an episode where we talk about self deletion and self harm, and who leads inside that as well.
Yeah.
And so,
Just because it's on us don't mean we're doing
right,
it.
it doesn't mean that we're dealing with it better. When we speak about like levels of depression, like again, I think that these are things that in reality we can definitely make a case that like it's put on us more like the level of account that is like it doesn't mean that it's like we typically deal with it better, I guess that's
Or more capable.
And so, and I want to make sure I understand exactly the reasoning or the pushback that you're giving. So you're agreeing that the accountability may not be the same. You're saying that we don't necessarily deal with it better, which is the idea of the shutting yourself off from the conversation.
yeah.
And
Okay.
he gave other examples too. But
Yeah, but that's what is that what that specifically was
Yeah,
that what you
yeah.
were pushing back? Okay. So and I could see that. I could see that. But I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, I don't hear a lot of I hear a lot of women, well, I've heard a lot of women social media and in real life speaking on the fact that men shut down a lot. And so that was the reason why I was trying to give that. But I could see
But you
I've
also
not
hear a
had
lot of men
myself.
saying that they unheard.
Yeah, but I think that
It-
no, that's right. But
like to me, and that's why I said like to me it I just like to like broaden it out of like the battle of the sexes part of it and just like
and I can understand that
it's
that's the
literally
intent
like
of it.
it just seems like we have to be able to communicate better, and of
Across
course
the
like I
board.
said, like we do have to like like tap the hand sometimes when we hear like the feminine shit. We had to tap the hand a little bit. You know what I mean? Where it's
My
like,
bad,
all right,
my bad, ladies.
We do need to make sure that we are intentional about promoting men because we know that that's not historically what we've done. So like I think like there's speaking about men getting more comfortable inside that space for sure. I think that that's really a thing. But yeah, I think when it comes down to like communicating well and being heard, I think everybody just sucks at it, and that'd be like the
I'd
cause
agree
of
on that.
most fucking problems.
Yeah, and I think that communicating. I think that people, a lot of people, lack the ability to hold themselves accountable,
For sure.
and I think that's a part of communication as well that needs to be tapped into. I think that's probably where the biggest disconnect lies is that I'm not able to hold myself accountable to how you feel, and then you're not able to hold yourself accountable to how I feel, and then more logically putting it into my actions and your actions.
I'm
as
not
well.
even able to hold myself accountable to how I feel.
And
With
that's
a
real.
lot of motherfuckers rolling through this world.
Yeah.
But I think I think we built on a lot of shit.
Yeah.
We unpacked a lot of shit. We had some,
Nuanced
Point
a
at me
lot
when
of
you
shit.
say that shit.
well, no, I was gonna say no. I had another one.
I'm fucking with you, bro.
I was gonna say we had some realizations.
Alright.
We had some realizations, but this was the To Be Fair show.
It
Before
is,
we get
ho.
up out of here, I want to say follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok
Yes,
at
sir.
the To Be Fair show.
I also seen earlier today, Johnny P was literally scouting for his OnlyFans. So just understand that it's coming really, really soon.
Yeah,
I walked behind him and it was just cheeks.
Hey,
Cheeks on the phone. What else could that mean?
hey,
OnlyFans coming soon?
And I
Hey.
also
Or is it up?
come, hey,
You got it
you might
up?
have to Google.
Oh, it's up.
You
It's
might
up.
have.
You Google it.
Hey, I ain't posting the
It's
link.
Googleable.
Googleable.
I ain't posting no links. I ain't posting no
The
links.
name of the channel is Johnny's P.
Oh.
That's the one.
Google. Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah. So Google Johnny's P. Hey,
Pause. All right, but
like,
we ain't
hey,
decided
hey,
yet.
hey. Let us know what y'all think below. Hit the notification button at the top. This was the To Be Fair show. I am your host Johnny P.
Oh, here, real.
It's Q.
And we out.
And I love Tone's mom.